think we're working now. So we're here in Port Lincoln, and you are, as you called yourself, a Covid refugee.
Yeah, Covid refugee.
So how did you become a Covid refugee in your own country?
Well, basically, yeah, I was a special constable for the New South Wales Police, and I lost my job due to the COVID mandates. We were pretty much terminated under gross misconduct in office.
And that means it's very hard for you to get a job as a security officer or anything like that again?
Yes, well, yeah, it's part of, I'm not sure if it's actually the legislation or the policy, but former sworn officers of New South Wales Police can't get a New South Wales security licence if you've been terminated by the police, because you're basically deemed not a fit and proper person.
And you were saying before you became a special constable, you were actually, security was one of the things that you were doing, like in other sort of jobs. That was your sort of the field you were in.
Well, yeah. I come from about 17 to 20 years in corrections, which is very security based, and even special constables are quite, heavily security based as well.
Yeah. So it's a true punishment for you.
Well, pretty much, yeah. It's taken away my career path, so to speak.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah.
Yeah. And then go back. What was it that attracted you to becoming a special constable? What was the drive to do it? Was it to become rich and famous?
No, it's quite the opposite of that. Just serve and protect. I think, I was brought up that we're a country of laws, and that we respect law enforcement, and it's a coveted position of authority with a lot of responsibility within the community for the betterment of the community.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, during the whole COVID debacle, I found out that that's not true.
So you yourself were living in a delusion, like a lot of us were, thinking the world works like this, and it actually didn't.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And
let's use the union as a good example. So you were the union rep?
Yeah, I was the union delegate for specials, and when I arrived there, I was in the specials for probably about 8 years.
And just go back a bit. So what did the special constables do? What were you doing?
So special constables basically provided security-like services to key New South Wales infrastructure, very similar to PSAs, that sort of thing. So we looked after Parliament House, ICAC, the Independent Commission Against Corruption, the Coroner's Complex, and other key New South Wales police sites.
Yeah.
We have full powers of arrest of constable, up to the rank of constable. Basically wear the same uniforms, same appointments. Yeah.
And so you're doing that, and you were the union rep, and you said when you came in, the union was very, very low numbers, and you changed that.
Yes. So I was actually quite surprised that they had such low membership. The workplace was very disorganised in that sense. So I went about getting voted in as a delegate, and then reorganising the workplace, and we probably increased membership by at least 300%.
And before we go into what happened with that, what was the attraction? Because I've always been a part of unions, not anymore, but what was the attraction to union? What did you think a union's duty was?
Well, a union is an advocate for the worker, and I'm mindful of both sides, but I see more the union. Its job is not to make its members filthy rich or anything. It's just to make sure that the worker gets a fair go.
Yeah.
Which is part of the Aussie ethos.
It's in our national anthem.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah. So that's mainly what I see a union for, is protection of workers and make sure they get a fair shake.
Yeah.
And so that's what surprised me the most. That I'd been a delegate in corrections as well. So I'd actually given the Public Service Association a lot of my time, and yeah, so to have them at the 11th hour drop me like a hot rock, and you know.
Talk about that. So you approached them thinking, what did you approach them with?
Yeah, well, I was looking at to get some sort of representation from them, and yeah, I was told by my industrial officer that he was directed not to give us any assistance. So any public service administration officer that was stood down in New South Wales Police Force was not able to get any help from the union to take it to arbitration or anything.
So even though they paid union fees and they were believers, really, it's just gone.
Yeah, it's just gone.
And where do you think those orders came from?
Well, I'd have to say they'd have to come from the Central Council or the management of the union.
How are you seeing now? So you've how long have you been out of work now?
Well, I was stood down for a year, and we weren't able to seek other employment during that time.
With or without pay?
Well, actually, it was without pay.
So you stood down without pay, and yet you weren't allowed to try and get other work?
No, because to get secondary employment, if you're a police force member, you've got to get approval.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so yeah. I mean, I was lucky. I had quite because I worked a lot of years in the public service, so I had quite a bit of leave. I had a year's worth of leave backed up.
But most wouldn't, and that is really economic blackmail.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough times. Like, I think in our group, there was something like nearly 100 of us, I think. There was quite a few, 50 to 100 or something. I can't remember the exact number. And that also includes, like, there was another special constable, but there were, the rest were like police officers and administration officers. But yeah, I'm sure we had 2 suicides in that term, out of our group. Yeah.
I've interviewed a father whose son was a police officer who quit because he wouldn't take the jab. He ended up doing, I think, Uber Eats delivery work, something like this, or forklift driving, I think. And after 6 months, he couldn't take it, took his life. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I couldn't even get a job at Coles or Woolworths stacking shelves. Because, no one wants to employ a former law enforcement that got sacked for gross misconduct in office. It's like, that's pretty much what they sacked us for, yeah.
It's almost like becoming a non-person in a way. It's like, as in communist times. Yeah.
I mean, I was very lucky in the, because I managed to get just a little bit of casual work for Amazon through what do you call them? I think it was a deco. Through a labour hire mob.
Yeah.
So that at least kept me a little bit busy for a while, for a few hours, and I managed to get in to do a couple of hours a week with corrective services, with supervising community service orders. Yeah. But that was like 4 hours a week. It was like. And in the end, we sort of, we had a mortgage and.
Well, that's what happened. So you're not allowed to work for a year.
Yeah.
So what happens to your life? I mean, was your mortgage paid off or?
No. Well, we struggled on, and I mean, at least I was getting paid while I was using my leave.
Yeah.
But after that, once I was formally terminated, then it was like, then I could actually look for employment and get another job. No one wanted to touch us with a 10-foot pole, so we couldn't even get a job stacking shelves.
Yeah. So did you lose the house? Did you have to sell?
Well, in the end, my wife, she was working at the time, but things got a bit hard for her, and she had a bit of a breakdown, and we just had to sell up, and then we went on the road, and we've been on the road ever since.
How long had you had the house?
6-7 years, that house, yeah.
So you got 6 or 7 years paying off this house. It's probably going to be the house you live in for forever, maybe. And that all that's gone now. You got to start again from scratch.
Yeah. And
with a mark on your back saying, "Don't employ this guy. He's dangerous."
Yeah. So I say we're transient. We were lucky we had a little bit of equity, and we were able to sell the place, so we could buy a mobile home, and then we went on the road, and that was 2 years ago. And
I'll come back to that, because but first off, the other thing that shocked Australians was the shooting at the Shrine, and what were your thoughts as an officer when you were watching other officers shoot protesters who were literally running away from them?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, and like I was saying before, like I know videos are a hard thing to do because it only shows one angle at a time, and they can be subject to manipulation, that sort of stuff. But of face value, if you got from my perspective, if I've got a crowd of people and they're complying with directions and they're turning around and they're moving, then that shouldn't have occurred. Like, that is just mind-boggling for me.
Well, let's look at that. We had, especially in Victoria, we had Mary, that was her name, the old lady who was thrown down to the floor and then pepper sprayed twice. How? And the officers who did that were young, and we've grown up in a time when violence against women is wrong. It's been on every bus stop. How have the police managed to employ people, make them officers, and these people are willing to beat up old ladies?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I'd say it's not reflective of all of them.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that like, with all sort of jobs that carry a certain amount of authority, that they're going to attract a dark element, and that's unfortunate. And sometimes, some of them get through the system.
In another way, though, because I've seen the young guy that did it still working in Melbourne on the streets.
Yeah.
But in your community, like you were the union rep, so you probably got on with everyone. How would the other officers treat this guy? Would they be going like, "Well done, good on you, you really got hurt," or would he be ostracised amongst the community? I mean, there any self-discipline?
I think there would be a few that would have issues with it. Yeah. But like, I mean,
he's representing them. Yeah. It's like an ambassador for them, making them all look bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was surprised. I came from a unit, predominantly one of the largest units in New South Wales Police Force, because there was like about 220 of us. And today I only speak to maybe 4. Like, I think when I left, maybe 8 said hurrah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it. Well, let's put it this way. I think there was a good reason why our state government and even federal governments employed panels of psychologists during COVID, right? Because a lot of psychology was used, and it was a very polarizing time. And it was funny, like I was saying before, like, parallel that I like to draw is when I was in Correctos, I had a good mate, and we used to have many philosophical conversations, and one of them was World War II and Nazi Germany, and what happened with the Jews and the Gypsies and that.
And Wehrmacht, is that what they call them? The soldiers, not the SS, the ones, just the ordinary soldiers. I think they're called Wehrmacht.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, like my mate, he always said to me, he couldn't understand how, the regime got an entire country to go along with that behaviour, and we saw that exact same thing during COVID.
Yeah. And a lot wants to talk about it, but we did.
No, and I don't think a lot of people realised, because like one of the first things that the Nazi regime did was convince the population that there was a single portion within their community that was a health risk to them, namely the Jews and the Gypsies, and they convinced them that they had diseases and that they were going to pass those diseases on. So that they used a health scare, the fear, and that's how it all started. And then they restricted their employment. They restricted what shops they could go to. What happened during COVID?
Yeah, exactly.
They convinced the entire population that the unvaccinated were a health risk to them, and they were going to make them sick. And then So they locked them in their house under a form of house arrest for months after everyone else was allowed out.
Yeah.
Right?
After they called it Freedom Day, which was Slaves Day Out Day.
Yeah. So and I'm thinking, I was sitting there thinking, like, I'm in a crazy world. Like, this is nuts. And so, like, you know, people weren't allowed to go to certain jobs, or most jobs, because they mandated it. You weren't allowed to go to businesses,
funerals, weddings, Christmas,
even just shop. You couldn't go to normal. So you couldn't go to Kmart. Like, if you were unvaccinated, you were only allowed to go to the servo to get fuel, to get food, and then back home, and that was it.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else could go to, you know, the pizzeria or the cafe or whatever, you know. And then on top of that, then you had the enforcement side of it, where they were walking around saying papers, please. Where they checked your QR codes and your vaccination.
To show you the pros, my father is in his 80s and he takes my mother to this cafe like once a week. They've been doing it for years, so the cafe knows them. So he's in this cafe and they wanted to see his vaccine passport. Then they wanted to see his license to verify the vaccine passport.
Yeah.
And I was going, why'd you show them? Why didn't you just tell them to F off? But he did it.
And where you know, where's your protected privacy with health records go? Like, all of a sudden, you know, your immediate supervisor at work's got access to your health records. You know, like, it's just, you know, it was crazy time. You know?
How did you do the other thing people struggle with is they say the police officers did the shooting at the Shrine and other things like Matt Lawson, that they were imported from overseas, special forces. But one of them's reached out to us several times, racked with guilt. He goes, no, they were Victorians. You know, and one of them I took a picture of. His uncle got in touch with me and said, he's a good guy, he's my nephew. We go to barbecues, he's good with his pets, he's a really great guy. And yet here he was with a gun shooting Australians.
Yeah. There was an interesting study, the name and the people involved escape me at the moment. It was done years and years ago by college students, and basically it was a group of friends, and the study was to look at personality types and how they, you know, differ in positions of power. So basically they set up like a little mock jail, and half of their friends became the apprentices and the other half became the officers. And within 2 or 3 weeks, the officers were bashing their former mates.
I think that's called the Stanford experiment or something. And they had to shut it. I think it was only a few days. They had to shut it down.
Yeah, because it got out of control.
Yeah, because the Nazis became Nazis.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, you know, so, yeah, it's...
Well, before we go to how you're living now, with your powers of deduction, because that's what, you know, basic bread and butter for an officer, what are your thoughts of what actually happened to our country with COVID?
I think we were hijacked by globalist corporations. I think we still are. And that was one of the hardest things, you know, for this whole process, was coming to the realisation that the country I thought I lived in and that I was a part of, and the system that I thought I was a part of, it's all a lie. It's all a lie, you know. And I thought we were under a constitution. I thought the constitution was the law of the land, but obviously it wasn't, because you had a New South Wales State Health Act overruled the constitution.
And the borders were all closed, which you're not supposed to be able to do.
That's right. And, you know, and you had judges saying that, oh, you know, that the federal constitution doesn't apply to you. How does it not apply to us, you know? So I always thought we were a country of laws, and we operated under those laws, and we're a relatively advanced civilised society, and we're not.
No. So now you're not really a COVID refugee, you're sort of doing what we're doing, and we're searching for Australia, because the Australia we thought existed is gone. You know, now we're seeing Indians buy up all the properties, all the business. You would see it on the road, all the servos, all the cafes, post offices, and the towns are full of homeless people, and the homeless people are white. I'm sorry, but they are.
Yeah.
You know.
And I've seen that significantly, and even we just went back to the Central Coast near Tuggerah and the entrance in Gosford, and we actually saw that. Quite a bit of that around a lot of the jetties and stuff.
And if you mention it, that now comes under hate speech laws.
Yeah, and it's sad. There's a lot of people doing it tough. But I think in saying that about, we're not the country that I thought we were, and that is correct. But that true Australia is still here.
Yeah.
And we find it in communities like this by talking to people.
Like the Brett we were just talking.
But in as far as like our management and our leaders, I think they sold out a long time ago. And like even through my process, one of my big processes were in fighting it was informed consent. And I said I'm struggling to come to informed consent because, one, I don't even know what's in the jab, and half of the ingredients fall under protected proprietary information. So you can't have informed consent straight off the bat anyway, because you don't even know what you're putting into your body, and all the laws that are breached, like the Constitution. We can't enforce a medical procedure. Nuremberg Code, the Human Rights Act.
Do you know Dr. Miley had a magistrate tell her in a court case she just had, the Nuremberg laws are no longer relevant in Australia?
Well, I'm not surprised we didn't follow them. And look, if I know that the federal constitution can be suspended in certain scenarios, but if that happened, then they had an obligation to tell us that. Because that was one of my things was discerning, is this a lawful order or not? And I needed all the pertinent information to be able to make that determination. And in all my submissions to the Commissioner, none of the legal arguments were addressed. They basically just said, and I remember one of mine was that the jab, the genetic treatment,
gene therapy
was experimental, and their only comeback to that was that they're not, and their safety profile is beyond reproach. Well, considering their phase 3 clinical trials didn't finish until 2025, that's a pretty long bow to draw. But and this was all the crazy nonsense, like a simple internet search, back then. Like I found sites reporting that the 3 major pharmaceutical companies, except for Moderna because they'd only just started, but the other 3 major characters had all been done for Medicare fraud in the last 3 to 5 years. So you're talking about a criminal organisation that had a massive financial incentive to push these unproven and untested gene therapies on a population. It was just mind-boggling. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. And one of the things going forward, one of the major difficulties I see going forward is getting any real justice, because like the seriousness that I see of people in positions of authority, the lines that they stepped over, as far as I'm concerned, none of them should ever be in a position of authority ever again. Because you breached human rights.
Yes. Severely.
People died from this.
Yeah.
People have been maimed and injured.
Have you got any first-hand experience of people being injured or dying, or are you seeing it on the road?
Yes. Well, yeah. We had a friend that they lost their child their
Oh,
child.
how old was the child?
She was early 20s,
Mm.
and that was terrible. And we've had friends that lost babies, during pregnancy, and
Well, that was the other thing. See, talking about pregnant women, they don't take aspirin, they don't eat fish like your partner said, they don't drink beer. On the beer it says, don't drink if pregnant, and yet this experimental gene therapy knock yourself out.
yeah, it's crazy. And from all of the research that I'd done, I couldn't find any reported mechanisms that were set up to measure impact on pregnant women during the first and the second, the phase
Safe and
1
effective,
and phase
mate.
2.
Safe and effective.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This is pretty basic stuff.
Yeah.
And it went over most people's heads. They got, and that's what I think, any psychologist with the word, will tell you that fear is a great mechanism to block, logical thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could, and that's why I think they did the daily updates.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The death mass.
Yeah, and they'd all get in there and they'd put a mask on before it, and
Yeah.
take it off as soon as the cameras were turned off.
It's really interesting. In one of my first speeches I did when the marches really kicked off, that's one thing I said. Robin took it actually as I said, fear is the virus and courage is the cure.
Mm.
And that's still pertinent today.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, their favourite saying is, correlation's not causation. Okay, you keep hitting yourself in the head with that hammer and see how long it takes before you get brain damage.
So in this life you didn't choose, it's been thrust upon you, this COVID refugee, what's life like on the road? How are you finding your country now as you're travelling around it?
Oh, yeah.
First off, landscape and people, put it as two different views. But first off, what's the landscape?
Oh, stunning.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, prior to COVID, my wife and I, we used to go to Thailand a lot because it was cheap. And we could go for a 2-week holiday over, and we always amazed how beautiful it was. And Australia has just as many, if not more, beautiful places. Like, it is absolutely stunning. And I've got to say, South Australia is one of my favourite.
Really?
It is the most undersung state in the country. And you come up through the limestone coast and all of it. Oh, it's just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Look, I know the Great Australia Bight is one of our favourite views. It's just breathtaking.
Yeah.
But what about the people? How are you finding the people?
Yeah, it's almost like decades apart from COVID, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like we fell into an alternate universe there for 4 or 5 years, and then we've slipped back. Yeah. And so now most people are back to normal. Like, there's still a few people that get a bit triggered about these subjects and what have you. But generally speaking, most people are like, what the hell happened?
And yet they're still dying. They're still getting sick.
Yeah, there's still people. Yeah, that's the sad part. Like, we still hear lots of people that, we've heard of young'uns being put into, long-term care in nursing
homes. Yeah, you said.
And...
Didn't you say an 18-year-old girl?
I think, she was 18 or early 20s. Yeah, 18 or 20 or something. Yeah.
So there's nowhere else for us. She's in a nursing home.
Yeah.
And that'll be forever.
Yeah, for long-term care. We've known, like, even family members have crazy, weird disorders that have developed post-COVID. And one of them was... I even looked up, was in that 12-page document that was finally released from Pfizer with the novel side effects. Yeah, and I can't remember the actual one it was now, but it was an odd form of anemia, which a family member now has. It's just crazy. Like,
Yeah, it is.
you know, and these people are trying to get help, and they're just smothered.
Yeah.
Like, no one will talk to them. As soon as you mention, like, oh, I think it's a jab injury, it's like, you know. Here's a crazy thing. One of my co-workers, he got the flu vaccination, and it nearly killed him. Nearly killed him. And he was telling me, he said, oh, you know, he said, like, I said to him, look, you know, the flu jab nearly killed me. Why would I risk my life again to take this? And they said, oh no, we'll organise for you to have it in hospital. He said, well, people die in hospital too, you know. You know, but that was the, you know, the thought processes at the time. It was just,
I think when it's saying going back to normal, there's this, I'm finding maybe it's because we live in the bus and it makes people stand out. There's a strange silence to the country now that we're finding. Maybe it's because we stand out because of that, so people think avoid us. But we're not really seeming to deal with this problem. And it's
no.
almost like moving on. You're being gang raped, just move on like nothing happened. But at some point, you're going to have to deal with the issue that a real crime happened and we're still suffering PTSD from.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and so while there's still a lot of really good people in the country that are engaging and friendly and have a coffee with you and a chat and whatever, yeah, there's still mass avoidance of the whole issue. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people saw a side of themselves they didn't know they had, you know. And one thing, I saw a meme the other day, and I thought it was a bit harsh, but it is kind of true. And it actually said that the way you behaved in COVID is who you are.
When I met Jesus Christ, he was almost 10 years old, and he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. And because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, he said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. It just made my mother cry. Mary Magdalene has become a man, and tonight he's old, and she has been riding my tram. Now it's late and she's trying to sleep beneath a poster for a bank. Your dreams are important to us as it bathes her face in gold. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page that we're advancing Australia fair. Let's pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair. Back down the road I found the church we built on the black man's bones was empty, and out the front a sign read all but sold. A sign read all but sold. And we all owe so much money, but to who